So now I'm going to demonstrate a 5-spoke wheel design for an off-road vehicle. So I'm just going to go ahead and resize my initial thumbnail sketch layer. I'm going to go ahead and pick this one here, because I thought this was a really interesting design. And as you can see, the tire plays a much bigger factor in the design of this particular wheel. So I'm going to do a couple of things a little bit differently this time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer representing the tire. I'm going to use a transparent black, and I'm going to use my circle tool. So we're going to get that as close as we can, and then we're going to size it into position. Okay, I'm going to duplicate that layer. Actually, I'm just going to draw it again. So again, using I'm going to do a new layer, do a new circle, being that this is an off-road vehicle, it's going to have a lot more tire section to it. Then I'm going to merge the layers together. First thing I'm going to do is make them both fully opaque. Then I'm going to merge them together. I'm going to use the fill tool. Okay, then I'm going to take some of that transparency out, because we're gonna add some more dimension to that later. Now I'm going to add my 5-axis symmetry. First thing I need to do is to adjust the positioning of the axes. I'm going to rotate the axes a little bit this time as well. Okay, so I'm going to lock that down, and then I'm going to start indicating my tire tread pattern. So as part of my graphic layer, I'm going to bring the color into the spokes themselves. So this is going to be kind of a two-tone wheel design. And being that this is an off-road capable vehicle, these spokes are going to be really fat and really chunky and rugged. I'm going to use my fill tool. You can see how very quickly I get a pretty deep two-tone effect to my graphic layer. And this is going to represent the actual holes between the spokes. Add another layer, and I'm going to go ahead and add some more depth to those tread blocks. So now you're starting to see that dimension of the tread on the tire. So now I'm going to add a layer for the dish of the rim. And turn the opacity way down. Just use a transparent black, large airbrush. Oh yeah, gotta turn off my symmetry now. I'm going to break some of those edges to give it a more reflective quality. Then I'm going to add some white on the... Actually, I need to go above the graphic layer here. I'm actually going to go in between the top graphic layer and the intermediate graphic layer. And I'm going to add some white airbrush to highlight the tops of those treads. I'm going to move that layer to the very top here. This wheel is going to be a lot more loose and painterly. So what I'm going to start to do is add some additional dimension to the depth of the spokes. So using my inking brush, really darken the tops of those pockets. Then I'm going in with some white. I'm going to just highlight the tops of those spokes that are facing the light source. And turn the opacity way down. I'm going to start to add some tone to the tops of the tires. And some dimension to those tread blocks. Just highlighting the edge where the tire meets the rim. At the very bottom, that's going to catch a little bit of light right there. Add another layer. I'm going to go in with some black. Just knock off the edges of those tread blocks. Go in some white as well down here. Finally, I'm going to add some lug nuts. This one's going to actually have to have some lug nuts. So I'm going to turn on my axis again, my 5-axis. Now I'm going to go in with some white pencil and do some final highlighting and tuning. You can see this is going to be a fairly quick, loose representation of a wheel. I'm just getting a little bit of a highlight catcher at the bottom of those lug nut pockets, and then within each pocket is a lug nut which is also catching light. Maybe within each of the spokes is another set of attachments. Just gives it a bit more technical quality. Also wanted to add that splash of color. You know, it could be a valve detail just on one section of the rim. I sort of envision is this kind of finger pull that where you take that off and that reveals the valve cap or something. I'm just going to go in with some white pencil and just highlight some of the edges of the surfaces, of the spoke surfaces. There we have a pretty competent, capable, and rugged off-road wheel and tire.